Hey folks, everything new under the sun. We're going to talk about nuclear weapons in the Bible again, looking at Zechariah, a couple of passages there which speak to it, but also the fact that those nuclear weapons come at a time when Israel is surrounded and God has to intervene. And we're moving quickly there, and this is really the key to the timeline of the return of the Lord, when all nations come against Israel. And it's quickly going that route as the U.S. has erupted in protests and riots, all anti-Israel riots related to the war in Gaza and against Israel, and telling effectively people saying that they need to be deleted, etc. It sounds like the Nazi era all over again, and people speaking of the Holocaust, and even telling, announcing that the Jews should have to go through that again. It's incredible, and what you're seeing is news articles from Fox News, National Post, Yahoo. You go down the list, all these protesters at these various universities, college campuses. New York Times, Reuters, what's behind all this? NBC News, AP News. You can just search for it, and it's all over the place. All of the world hates Israel, and ultimately, squeaky wheel gets the grease, and the U.S. government will ultimately bow to this. Canadian government will as well. I'm surprised they still haven't turned against Israel. It seems like a very lefty thing to do, to turn against Israel in this case, and many people are against Israel. And indeed, what does the Bible say in the last days? All nations will come against Israel. And so that is really the flag, the milestone that says, okay, now we're truly in the end times, because there's no nation standing with Israel anymore. Here is Benjamin Netanyahu. Concerning Israel, the ICC, or the International Criminal Court, is going to issue an arrest warrant for Israeli politicians and military. This is significant. This is a democratic state trying to defend itself, from the massacre of October 7th. And the International Criminal Court is going after and looking to arrest these folks. You notice they're not going after the arrest of Hamas or the Gazans or the perpetrators of the great crime of October 7th and the horrific torturing and killings that happened there. No, they're going after the democratic country that is trying to ultimately protect its citizens. And you may not like how they're doing it. And, war is never glorious or fun or clean. I think they are doing, as much as they can, but they're going after Israel only. Maybe because they know they can't go after Hamas, or maybe because they agree with what Hamas is doing in Israel and all the deaths there. Israel is concerned that the ICC may be preparing to issue arrest warrants against Israeli government officials. Okay, so Zechariah, where does it speak about nuclear weapons? Where does it speak about all the nations coming against Israel in the last days? And this is just an example of people coming against the leaders of Israel. Well, Zechariah 12 speaks to Israel, Jerusalem rather, being attacked. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling, and unto all people round about, and they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all the people. All that burden themselves shall be cut in pieces. So if you get involved in that, look out, you're going to have trouble, because you're coming against the apple of God's eye, and he is going to remove his blessing from your nation and bring trouble. It says, though all the people of the earth will be gathered together against it, against Israel. In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness, and I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and I will smite every horse and the people with blindness. And you talk about nuclear weapons. Could that blindness be the shocking, glaring, bright light of the initial flash of the nuclear weapon? Now, God can use human-made things to bring about his justice, or he can use supernatural things. The blindness striking the horse with astonishment and the rider with madness could very well be nuclear weapons. But there's another passage in Zechariah 14 as well, which gets even closer to the description of the results of a nuclear weapon. It says here, similar text. Look at this, Zechariah 14. For I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem to battle. And the city shall be taken, the houses rifled, and the woman ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall be cut off from the city. Now that happened, of course. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle, and his feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives. So we know this part at least is yet future. Let me make this a different color here. Let's go like this, so that you can actually see there. We know that this section here is yet future because he, the Lord, has not set his feet upon the Mount of Olives yet. It says, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east and west. This hasn't happened. This is yet future. So while Israel was divided and sent into other nations, they are now back in the land of Israel, and this is yet to occur. All nations shall come against Israel, and then in the last days, the Lord is going to come, and what's he going to do? He's going to fight for the people who can't fight for themselves anymore. And there shall be a very great valley, and half the mountain shall move toward the north, and half of it toward the south. Now, speaking of a nuclear weapon, look further down here, where it describes the plague that the Lord is going to use to smite them. Again, he can use supernatural means, he can use human means. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people who have fought against Israel. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand on their feet. And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And that's a very specific kind of a nuclear weapon. That is a thermonuclear weapon, which dissolves that. It doesn't destroy buildings. It just dissolves and kills any flesh, any humans, any animals. It takes them out, but doesn't actually knock down any buildings or destroy any, any other thing like that. So again, a description of a possible nuclear weapon, some sort of nuclear explosion, or simply it may be a supernatural nuclear explosion, not a nuclear weapon created by man's hand. And apparently this is what God is using in this case to defend Israel in this day. So are we getting to the place where all the world comes against Israel? Boy, oh boy, it certainly seems we're getting there. The world is hating Israel more and more every day as they stay battling and fighting for their security and peace in Israel against Gaza, against Iran, against Syria, against Lebanon. And, all the nations of the earth are turning against Israel. And you can see it with these protests that are happening all around the world, but in the U.S., and the U.S. has been the biggest supporter of Israel, the biggest funder, the biggest provider of weaponry, ammunition, all that sort of thing. And what do we see here? The young generation is against Israel, and that's what the statistics say as well. So the U.S. as a country, ultimately its politics will move away from Israel because, the politicians want to please the people. And the young people are saying they don't like Israel, and they want Israel to be deleted effectively. So be prepared, folks. This is one more sign we're headed towards the last days. I think we're going to see some sort of nuclear weapons used, not only by humans, but apparently also by the Lord. And it may be supernatural at that point, but he'll be using similar sorts of physics to do what he needs to do against the enemies of Israel, who will be everybody at that point in time. And he also will only come when Israel can't defend herself anymore. So when you see the IDF faltering and failing, when the missiles start getting through the air defense systems, and the people of Israel call upon the Lord God again and say, God, help us. The IDF can't save us. Our government can't save us. Lord God, we recognize you. Come save us. That's exactly when he comes back and helps them. So that's the thing to be looking for in the last days. I'll leave there, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.